Good morning, I'm Che, Hardwired Bonsai, and this video is going to be about Totara, New Zealand native Totara, Podacarpus Totara. This is my post-apocalyptic piece. It's a golden Totara mounted with kanuka or manuka roots as wood, and the pot is a collapsed culvert, so a piece of concrete culvert pipe that's collapsed, which I found up on a mountain. It had been, I don't know, probably crushed by a bulldozer or something. Thought it looked quite cool, bits of rebar sticking out of it. I just put it together like this. So I'm going to check this out and do a little bit of work on it, and then talk about some of the other Totara that we have in New Zealand which are of interest as bonsai. This golden Totara has been on this slab of concrete, this old culvert pipe, for 5 years maybe. I haven't repotted it at all, so it's probably getting a bit full. I've really just been trimming it into little pads. Last year I took a lot of the new growth off, just giving it little prunes like this, and it looks a bit twiggy and bare, but when I look closely I can actually see little buds on these stems which will pop shortly as the spring comes in. When this golden Totara is grown in the shade, as you can see here, it's quite a lime green rather than a golden colour. It's actually, yeah, it's really pretty actually. The golden colour comes when it's lots more sunshine on it. It just becomes a bit bleached. You can see from the original size of the leaf, which is like this here, down to when it's been pruned, it comes down by about 2/3. So that's only about 5 mil long, these little needles here. Whereas the original ones were more like 10, 15. I would like to define the pads on it a lot more than it is at the moment, which might mean dropping it out of this root. This root's still pretty sound. It's never been treated. It's manuka root from a mountain on the west coast up near Denniston. It's just an old dead root which I pulled out of the ground. Totara make pretty good bonsai in my opinion. They backbud fairly well. I don't think they backbud into really old wood, but they'll backbud into something that's maybe 5 years old at least, if it's growing vigorously. This golden Totara is probably my preferred one. It's quite soft. It's nice to work with. It's delicate. Whereas some of the other ones are really spiky. The other one that I like to work with is the Manapori Blue, which is it's a more of a thicker leaf than this one. So it's quite a fine leaf. It's thicker as in more sort of succulent, and but it's also got a blunt end on it, so it's not very spiky either. Whereas the classic sort of lowland Totara is very coarse and very spiky, and it's actually, yeah, it's quite painful to work with. Here we have the Halls Totara, which grows up on the mountains here, and that's even spikier than the lowland one. So again, I don't really prefer that one either. They're also a little bit sparse. But the Manapori Blue and this golden one are really pretty. There's probably other varieties I haven't played with yet either, but these are good. Having a turntable is really cool. I might just unpack all this stuff off it and see what the state of the soil is. I might rebuild this differently too. Give it a bit of a weed over. Got got a bent fork, which I'll do a bit of that with. Plenty of root there, looks pretty healthy. It's tied on, so it doesn't come off unless I untie it. Totara are really hardy. They're maybe not as hardy as a pine tree, but they are still pretty drought resistant. So you have to be abusing them pretty consistently to kill them. There's not a lot of soil under it really. So I will refresh this soil at some point. Not right this minute. Root's kind of funny, it has little dots all over it. Not sure what that's about. Should check that out one day. So, not a conventional bonsai by any means, this piece, but I really quite like it. This is actually, the trunk is actually this piece here. It goes up under the base of this bit of wood and runs out along the top. This little native orchid, little onion orchid, came up here not long after I planted it. But I don't really want it growing on my bonsai, so bye bye. So I am going to basically repress the soil. So I'm going to tease a hole of the roots out, chop it back a bit, put some new soil in. This is the back of the tree, and this is the front. So this tree will just flush a whole lot of nice new roots into the fresh soil. I'm not going to bother undoing it and taking it right off this time. I'm just going to put fresh soil around the outside of it. It's just a standard potting mix. So I think in time I'll drop this down here, create more of a pad here, and then start defining these more. At the moment there's half a dozen branches running out through here. Still not sure of the times to be cutting these, really. Probably go and check out some Japanese info on there. Podacarpus would probably be very similar. What I do know is that I didn't get a response when I chopped these back straight away. You see these little tips. There's actually buds in the terminals, and then buds sitting on these little chopped off branches as well. So I just keep shortening these back so that the terminal bud's not going to grow. This is the terminal bud here. If I leave it, it'll just pop and grow out here. So I have to take it back in here somewhere and it'll pick up a new bud down in here. So again, you can see where I've cut before, and I've got 3 new buds, 3 new shoots, and then there's new buds on each of those. Don't actually want 3, I'll take one of them out. Back to 2 is always a good idea. Just looks better. This whole little mess here where I've got multiple buds again, multiple shoots I should say. This is quite a cool branch, it did get a bit damaged, it'll heal up. I'm wondering whether I actually shorten that one right back into here and just let it grow close in. So just drop a bit of wire out, I put in to hold it in place. So that's the branch. And I think maybe I'll take it right back to there. So you can see on the end here where I have chopped this little twig here back, and it's regrown 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new little growths of this one twig, which is obviously 3 too many. Just like with any pine or anything, I need to take that back to just 2. I really want 2 to continue. Well, that's my little spiel on Podacarpus Totara, New Zealand native Totara. This tree came from a nursery as a straight stick, a little bit of side branching, and I promptly bent it over and gave it some shape. And I've been working on it for, I might have had it for about 6 years probably. So it's taken a while. Didn't grow very vigorously at times. I probably pruned it a bit hard. One thing I've noticed about Totara, them is that they are pretty slow to fatten up a trunk. Just cutting back the extension growth from last year to increase the little buds in the back of the leaf here to pop next spring. I guess I could be doing this any time over winter. Probably best actually to do it late winter. But what I'd like to do by doing it this time of year is, see the new buds are right on the tips here, or in here in the leaf. And I actually don't want them that far out, I want to push them back in here. So I guess that's one reason to do it a bit earlier. Right, here's the last piece coming down into place at the top. I have completely rebuilt the top. There was a this was the old top here. This piece, I took it out. It was too leggy and long. I didn't like it, so I'm redoing it. And I think that looks much better. Sometimes pieces just need to be chopped off. There we go. Pretty happy with that for this year. While we're here, we'll have a look at a few other ones I've got in my garden. This is the blue Totara I was talking about earlier. You can see it's a sort of quite a soft, there's no spikes on it at all. Very bendable. All the Totaras actually, you can really bend them a lot and they will set really well. So this is actually quite a long piece, but I've wound it around quite a bit, giving it some kind of gnarly detail. This one was a cutting, you can actually see where the cutting was taken, the end of the stalk. They take well from cuttings. You can even put quite large cuttings with branches already on them, get some trunk direction. These ones have actually put out a lot of nice, really nice roots as well, counter to what I said before. By contrast, this one, I think this is the Hall's Totara. It's very, very spiky and prickly. Like weeds. It's really only just coming away. That's actually live growth on the tips, just comes to a real bronze colour. This is a wild collected tree, dug it out probably in Canaan. Made it look quite cool, but it is certainly not as nice as the blue one. There's another blue. Grown as a windswept on a rock. You can get some quite nice gnarly bark quite quickly, the blue ones, better than the other ones I think. A nurseryman friend of mine just told me about a new Totara which he thought might be useful for bonsai. It's Podacarpus Mount Cook. So I got online and ordered one. I thought I'd take this opportunity to drag out the footage I took last year of my various Totara species and finally release it as part of the Hardwired Bonsai Native Trees for Bonsai series. Check this out. So here it is. Not quite what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be somewhat greener. It's quite olive coloured. The twigs are quite yellow really, which could be interesting. It'll give a interesting kind of effect. It's just a little bit sharp, it's not too bad. You can wave your hands around with it. Doesn't hurt you. So look how bendy it is. It's pretty good. To the thicker wood. So we can bend it pretty well right down into here. Even into here. Yeah, it's pretty formable. I imagine as it's clipped, the buds will get smaller and smaller. They'll come down to about this size, probably even smaller than that. It's kind of cute. I guess if you can imagine that as a canopy, it's not bad. we'll give it a go. I imagine it takes pretty well from cuttings, so I'll take a few cuttings and we'll see what we can do with it. I have 4 or 5 different Totara here I'd just like to show you. I'll start with this one. This is the golden Totara. It'll be like a lime green if it's not grown in such a bright area, but in a very bright place it's quite yellow. It's a small leaf and quite soft compared to some of the other ones. It's quite a nice one. It responds well to clipping. This one's a classic lowland, fairly coarse, quite spiky. Yeah, sort of mid olive coloured, olive range. It's quite sort of, yeah, it's okay. It's a bit coarse probably. This one's the blue, Manapori blue. It's a nice small leaf, blunt, they're not very spiky plant, quite vigorous. And this one, I'm not sure, it might be a Halls. It's very coarse and very spiky, so not very nice to work with. I also have this one here. Find another one. Here's one pull out. This one here, some rooted pieces I got from Nelson Lakes. It's kind of a sprawly shrub, Totara. I'm not sure of the species, I'll have to look that up. This is a very cool tree. It's growing on this lovely piece of limestone with this natural hole in the middle of it. It goes up both sides, hooks into the hole and out the front. This branch is just a thickener, it'll come off, join in the back there. It's had its prune. I'll probably take these back a little bit further. It's a nice soft blunt-ended species to work with. That's the Manapori blue again. Okay dog, let's go for a walk. Okay, we're pushing into deep geek territory now. If you're still with me, you're a geek, which is awesome. I'm going to make the most of the procrastination that I've exhibited in not getting this video published for 2 years by getting a bit more data. We'll just take a quick look at the outcomes of the pieces that I was working on for the last couple of years. Okay, this is the golden Totara. Beautiful response, this lovely fluffy new soft foliage. It was cut back into about here. This is all new stuff. It's all spread out laterally, which is lovely. Okay, it's the new dirt. This one didn't respond as well yet. It's just starting. Little buds. Here's the blue. Again, just popping. Nice response. I think with some bit more dirt, it would pop away better. There's not much dirt under that one. Here's another blue. Response has been a bit lusher. Here's my post-apocalyptic piece. It's another yellow Totara, which you saw me working on. This has got new dirt under it, and it has popped these big, long, fluffy, juicy branches. Real juicy. I think I'll just let them flush out. They should produce some new little buds. Oh, here we go, they're already starting. New little buds along the edge of here. I'll let it flush quite big, I think, and then I'll cut it back, see what happens, maybe next year. And there's one more piece. This is the one, don't know if you remember, that has the hole in the rock. It's a bit sparse, not as much new budding as I'd hoped. I think possum or cat landed on top of it, broke the top out of it, so I'll have to develop a new top somehow. Not sure how it works, maybe this one comes up around, we shall see. Thank you very much. The next video, which hopefully won't take me 3 years to put out, will be on coffee. I've started gathering some content for that already. See you later.